Hi everyone, it's Naomi Den, mother of EQ2 Traders Corner again. I am going through the second part of the Rage of Cthurath Tradeskill line. I was finished with this part for the research a couple days ago, but I got busy so I hadn't gotten back to it. The 16-hour reduction on each step of the, every single hand-in helped a lot on speeding it up, but then I got busy so I didn't really make use of the speeding up. Anyway, now we are going to check on the research, see that it's complete, claim it, just like that, boom, and then we have to go speak with Flamebearer Donat.
Hello.
Boom, I'm 135. You will not be 135 if you are new to this line. This is because I also have the Veteran XP bonus of 60% going. Plus I had full vitality. Now I'm down to 9.3% vitality. So it really chewed through my vitality, but I am at max trade skill level yet, but I am nowhere near done the line. Normally you would be at like 133 or so and need to do a few missions at the end, and I will show you the missions as well afterwards. So now Anefa wants me to go help out Kith, who is a hungry pupper. Kith is a good boy. Kith is hungry. We will feed sweet Kith. We will need Kith. So we need both meat and leather. And because I just leveled up, of course my skills are also leveling for harvesting. Looking for dens and shrubs, and I am not bothering yet to use tracking at all. If it gets too slow, I will, but the old Mark 1 eyeball is a good start. And unlike low-level zones, each type of harvestable node is on a separate spawn table. So if I want just shrubs, I can pick just shrubs, and the only thing that will respawn from those are more shrubs. Go after dens, and then the dens will respawn. It's not like you grab one and some other type spawns. That is how it happens in earlier zones, but on these later zones, it's all separate spawn tables, so you can just go and grab whatever you need and not feel that you're going to, totally denude everything of that. And again, I am doing this with a squishy, so it is either come into this safe little area or use the harvesting hand. I will be using the harvesting hand a lot in the next region. After upgrading it, of course. Every single time you go to a new zone, you're going to be making a new ware or whatever it is. In this case it's the ware. In other expansions it's other things, but you're going to be making a new harvesting hand that covers the new zone. And as you see, I don't have flight unlocked yet. I will soon enough for this zone once I get done with Kith. So, maybe Kith's maybe treats. guess I can't resist answering questions. It is habit by this point. Now I'm going to right-click, feed him his treats, nom nom nom. Pat his head, and we go off to the Void Obelisk, which is at the other end of the zone. So I went from up here on the upper left part of the map, and now I am down on the lower left part, or lower right part of the map. Now that Kith has given me my ride, I use the teleporter, and I go to Ugathal's Stall. Immediately there's this ornery overseer evil eye that wants my help. Actually is demanding my help because he thinks that I'm one of the minions in the area. He tells me what I need to make. And I am going to just baloof along as long as I'm careful and don't get too close to a critter. On that one little bit there was an evil eye back there, and there's a couple of mobs in the pond there, but as long as I avoid those, I can dip up to the main crafting area in this zone. And there is my crafting station. Before I look for the recipes, I obviously am going to need to get the crate of supplies unpacked. So there's the Gazer Banquet bundle, so I've got that. First thing is the Gooey Netherbean surprise. With that, it makes it 2x2, so it's not a hideously long set of combines for the 8 of them. Except when I take a sip of water at the wrong time. Yes, these are all kind of weird, creepy names and descriptions and so forth because it's for an evil eye feast. Or gazers, I should say. There's both evil eyes and gazers here. Gazers are the smart ones. Now, since I'm 135 already, I'm not even getting any XP messages, which is fine by me. I'm glad to just get it out of the way. Needless to say, I've done this a few times, both here and on the test server, so I'm just as happy to get through this pretty quickly. One of the other things, along with the ingredients that was in there, is this odd rock. And I'll show you more of that in just a moment here. Get that going. And that odd rock was at the bottom of the bag, and it's going to be what I'm going to use to upgrade the wear. But that is after I get done with him. Oops. Had my fingers shifted by one. The nice thing about this batch of combines is that even the fuel needed is provided. So it's, while it is a lot of combines, it is also not costing me anything as far as coinage. You get the full reward. I'm not going to use it, but the evac point is back where you ported into the zone. So, but that will be handy to know later on. Thankfully, these little guys are not aggro, they're just zone flavor. That, however, is aggro, as you can see. And there is often one up there, but as long as you go this way, you're fine. And there's sometimes a shiny here, which of course is no use to me, but my guildmates can use it. I'm too low level. Back here I go. Drop off the items. Boom. I got my wear recipe. There we go. And Flamebearer Donat has now
I
appeared.
greet you.
I update him on what's going on. And now he's giving me an assignment from Lady Najana. I have to collect runes from 4 different spots. I am going to the one that people think is the most difficult, but is really relatively easy once you know how to do it. Hug left. Avoid the eye. Bud down like a lead balloon. There's this trained nether knot ray. You can see the feather marking underneath me on the map. So that is where you were looking for this trained nether knot ray, because it is going to get you to a rather dangerous area. And it gives you a little bit of a view of some of the rest of this area too. So you do that quick little zig and zag, avoid the mobs, and it gets you a rather decent way across the map without having to be chased all over the place by all of this aggro, and saves you a long walk with the hand, which you wouldn't be able to even finish because there's a teleporter to be used in a moment. So you fly here, or you fight your way here, depending on whether you're squishy or not. You get up to the Thrall Roost, and now you just watch. You do have aggro, but you can go safely in between. Go over to here. You do not want that portal. What you want is the Curious Mechanamagica. And that gets you up to Verboten Atoll. Immediately use your wear, because now you need to go over here, and there's usually a batch of mobs here, and you really don't want to get snished by them. Thankfully they're gone. Targeting a mob in the distance, hitting attack, gets me back to here. Now I can take the teleporter back down. Dodge my way back through. I could evac as well, but I might as well take the flight. But that is one of the 4 runes taken care of. The others are a bit easier, and I will be using the hand for them. I do like these nether knot rays. I just don't like using the larger mob, or the larger mounts, or the ones that have long tails or anything like that, because it tends to get in the way of other people, around crafting equipment and things like that. So I tend to go with flight wings for most of my characters, but once in a while it's also a broom or something like that. I think this one has I don't even remember what this one's using. We'll find out in just a moment. Okay, it's a broom on this one. Yipe! Excuse me. I got a little too close to him, and I'm going to fly him off. Flee, flee, little halfling, flee, flee, run away, run away, run away. There. And since I'm up here, I am going to go for these 2 first. So I'm going to use the wear. And I am going to derpy along. Come to this first little area. Duck in. This guy is a quest giver for adventurers, but obviously not for me. Here's the Sept of Zimor, which is this region. But that's the faction, I should say, for this region. Each spot that we're going to is a different faction of gazers. And they are not friendly with each other. In fact, they plot and plan against each other all the time, and as an adventurer, you will get pulled into some of that. As a crafter, we just have to know that, yeah, we gotta go here, we gotta go here, we gotta go here. But that's where the lore does tie in, is that we are pulling stuff from these different factions, and a little while from now, we're going to be causing trouble between those different factions, even as crafters. Whoops, nope, I don't want to go down in there. Or up in there, I should say. I want to go down to Zanzibar's. And this is a really neat view coming up. I love what they did with this entrance. We are getting there, really. Normally I leave these two till last so that I can do the harvesting in this area, but I didn't think about that when I was doing this. But look at this eyeball. Isn't that cool? And it will follow you around. It'll turn to face you no matter where you are, which is both cool and creepy. And now we're going to just look. And I'm going to go down here to save myself some running afterwards. I'm not going to go all the way back to the crafting area. I'm just going to plop myself here. Back in the harvester. And now we're going up into the necropolis, which is the undead area. It's their burial area for the gazers. And as such, there are no harvestables up here. Just the quest harvests are the only thing up here. And those are not trackable harvests. This does give you another glimpse of another new area. And then here's the path. I'll show you on the map. We're up here, and we'll be going near the Necrogaze Spire. There's the rune I need. There is a heroic named. You want to avoid him. He will eat individuals quite happily. And since I now need to harvest non-food resources in the area, I'm going to go up to here, just so I'm in another safe spot. I can't use the fish and such, but I can find other things in the area to harvest. Eventually. The area where I was near Zanzibar's was a better harvesting area, but variety is nice. As soon as I find the non-food stuff like this. Oh, hush. Noisy little blink runt. Goodness, he is noisy, isn't he? This can be food or non-food, depending on what it gives me. I'm hoping for some leather. Oh, nice, I got a rare. Of course, that doesn't do me much good because it's only the common ones that'll do me any good for the quest update, but I'll take the rare. When I eventually level this gal, she'll be wearing leathers, so getting a start on it is nice. Ooh, I don't think there's any more harvest nodes to the right, so we'll go left. And it's back to Flame Bearer Denard now, because I got my 100. So for this mischief, what I am going to be doing, and this is the last part of the quest line, I am going to be stealing stuff from the necropolis, which is the burial area, and leaving footprints around it that make it look like these little guys, the Netherbean, are responsible. So that because the Gazers use them as minions, and they know it wasn't their minions that did it because they've got mind control of them, they believe it's one of their enemies doing it. So this gets the Gazers fighting between themselves, which distracts them from tracking down the Daru. They're worried about internal threats, not external ones. You can get in, you can cause some distraction and get what Lady Najani needs, but also help the Daru out at the same time. That's the theory, at least. We don't hear anything to the contrary, so we assume that it helps in one way or another. Now, this one is a soloable, obviously not while I'm doing this, but that is a solo mob. Solo named. Okay, there's the Terminus tablet. There's the grave soil. I got really lucky. Usually we don't get them that close together. But each one has a region that it can be in, and it can be in several spots in that region. So I got very lucky, but this time around they can be much more spread out. And then you just have to keep playing peekaboo to find the last bit of gold sparkly. think it's down this way. Yes, it is. Okay. Now comes the part where all of your harvesting comes in handy. Because you're going to have to craft some stuff that will require some rares. First up is the ritual preparation powder. And for all of these, the recipes were auto-dropped into your recipe book. Rit prep. This one requires blighted ore, Zabaz gem, Tiama wood, and flowfall vines, plus the formless coal. So, boom, 4 rares eaten. But now, you combine that with the items that you just grabbed. The grave soil, the terminus tablet, the reliquary, and the syndicate stone. Plus more formless coal.
I greet
That's
you.
what Lady Naja needed to help the adventurers with their bits in Garion. And now I need to go to the unknown. Helps if I'm close enough. As you can see, we're right there at the start of the unknown, and everything that is needed for crafting is here, which is good because this is a multi-layer place, and I don't want to get lost in here. Now flight has unlocked for Ugothel Sprawl.
Well met.
He's given me the room that I need. I'll wear V3 in a moment. And my favorite familiar. I love this little guy.
Well met.
So there we go. I get Eddie the Eye Blight. He's kind of funky. And he's got some really good stats to him. And I will not complain about that at all. I get my Advanced Formless Provisioner. If I was any other crafting class, I would get Volume 1 of Advanced Formless, whatever it is. Provisioners only have the 1 rare recipe book per tier. Or per expansion. I get some Token of the Formless Crafter. Fragment of Void achievement, Spirit of Void Stone achievement, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to get my familiar into the collection so that I can use him. Because he's much better than what I was using. I'm at rank 1. Scribe my recipe book while I'm right here. I am going to look at what the tokens of the Formless Crafter will give me.
Salutations.
Oops. Click on the wrong person. So I don't need any of the Advanced Formless books. There are numerous house items here, numerous appearance items as well. And they're in a different color than what we got for the last expansion. So it's the same appearance set, but this is with the fancy sparkly effects on it and in blue. There's my stew pot lid. I may get some of these later. These are all using the currency that you do get with the trade skill missions. More house items, plushies, music boxes for expansion music, and so forth. So there's all sorts of stuff that you can get there.
Greetings.
The missions are pretty basic, and I will show you one in a moment here. I wanted to show you what the unknown goodies can be. Several house items that were plundered in earlier expansions. There's one item that is also a raid achievement award from last expansion, the Archipelago Gazebo, but most of them are from older expansions of dungeon or raid loot. And then there's a whole bunch of barding patterns, or not barding, yeah, mount gear patterns, and one recipe book. So I'm going to accept the quest, and it's some basic harvesting. A little of it I'm going to do from here if the fish are around. They're not. So as a squishy, my preferred spot is to go back to Yongaroth. Because that way I don't have to use the hand unless I really, really want to. So I can fly now, so I can get the fish relatively easily. Can I reach it from here? Oh, I have to go the other side. I have to go the other side. Okay. And it is clear. As long as I don't go too far that way. I landed hard, but plummet like a lead balloon. Had too much pie. And one more fish shoal. To work on my fishing skill anyway. Now, are there roots handy? No, there's no roots handy. There's one den handy, so I will go for that for the prowler meat. And then I am going to make use of my good friend Kiss. He's going to take me back to the Daru village. Root, not shrub, and I do not need the named. Okay, now I need a little bit more root. One more root, of course. Of course, since I was mostly done, I could have just evacked. But wasn't that far away. Didn't really matter that much. Probably am going to need more fuel, but let's see. Yep. I need 12 formless filament. If I was planning on doing a lot of those missions, I would have picked up more fuel, but since there's only the one of me on this server, I'm a provisioner, I'm not going to bother. Those missions are going to be your best way to level up from 133 to 135 for your first couple crafters. After that, you will not need to do as many missions, obviously. But since I had already had several people go through the line, it was pretty quick for me. And no need to really do the missions. The missions are on the normal mission timer. I'll remind you where that is. The mission timers are there. And I want to do trade, and then I go down. There it is. Tradeskill daily mission was resetting in 5 hours 43 minutes, which is the same time as several other ones. But it will always tell you so that you can see where you stand as far as the 18-hour missions. We call them daily, but they're really 18 hours. Whoops. Almost missed that one. There we go. That mission is done. Got myself a mount gear pattern. I'll show you. There is here the Gothel Sprawl mount equipment book, which needs the adventuring alloys, which of course I do not have. Sugar currency. No aethermantic alloy because I'm not an adventurer, but those are the master crafted mount gear patterns. I'll show them there. So your basic patterns will be on your recipe vendor. Then the master crafted ones and the raid ones are on this special currency vendor. But the currency merchant is mostly for adventurers because theoretically crafters don't need that high-end stuff. If they're just crafters, not adventurers as well. And that's enough babbling from me. That is the second half of the Rage of Cthurath Tradeskill line. Have a good day, everyone.